The authority has fallen. Separated and enslaved by Mongul and his forces, the team is now left to try and survive in whatever way they can, and some are adjusting better than others. And while Superman is still determined to liberate Warworld, members of his team now have their own agenda to perform. Philip Kennedy Johnson's Warworld Saga has the potential to be one of the best Superman stories of late, along with being the most brutal. Yet what's impressive is that Johnson manages to keep Superman's inherent character intact. Despite all the bullshit that's happening, Superman is still Superman. His clear and untainted sense of hope and determination is stronger than ever, and it's one of the best parts of the issue. The fact that even now, with having to be a forced gladiator or being made to live in the absolute worst living conditions imaginable, Superman is still our hero, and his principles refuse to give way, which of course is what makes Superman. Typically, writers will tend to focus on Superman's physical prowess as a means of getting him out of a situation, or to have him learn a lesson about true strength and finding that hidden power within to defeat the bad guy. But that is not the case here. Rather, Clark is having to rely more so on his mind, his intellect. Besides the fact that he's determined to keep going and to not lose hope, Clark is having to rely more so on his observations, him gathering information and learning more about Warworld's history and physical makeup. Because as the saying goes, if you are to defeat your enemy, you must understand your enemy. Also, when it comes to the remaining members of the Authority, many of them are developing very interesting subplots. OMAC getting really into the whole gladiator lifestyle, Midnighter leading his own rebellion. A lot of these characters are abandoning Superman's principles, and so I'm definitely intrigued to see where all that goes moving forward. Side note, I'm also going to include Warworld as a character, because similar to Stephen King's Salem's Lot, where that town in the book has a character presence of itself, Johnson and our team here do the exact same thing, which is great, and it makes us, the reader, feel a somewhat involvement with the planet. The art by Riccardo Federici is fantastic. Warworld legitimately comes to life. The alien landscape populated by flora and fauna is disturbing, yet it carries a grounded take, along with his work on the alien designs, especially the worms that dwell beneath the planet. It gives this sense of horror whilst also providing a layer of defeat to our characters. Basically, it's depressing, and it makes the defeat hurt even more. Long story short, if you are not reading Action Comics, you are missing out. And this applies to whether or not you like superheroes, fantasy epics, or even things such as gladiators. So yeah, get on top of that, folks. Action Comics issue 1039 gets a sexy 10 out of 10. Our story picks up with Superman fighting as a gladiator in the Warworld arena, along with OMAC and Steel, and they are forced to fight in the arenas with the enslaved Phaelosians. Now, Superman is shown to be refusing to use weapons. Instead, he is using his bare hands, because at the end of the day, he has no intention of killing anyone during these fights. And though Superman is victorious after every single fight, he is quickly knocked off that victory pedestal, and that is through electrocution, because the war zones of Warworld are reminding him on who's in charge, for they are reminding him that this is Mongul's world. Afterwards, we watch Steel, who is feeling desperate to help Superman, but OMAC refuses to join, because she wants nothing to do with Superman anymore. She no longer cares about him. Thus, this is where we are starting to see that she is becoming a lot like a war zone. With the murder of Light Ray, OMAC has nothing else to live or care for. The only thing that she has now is the arena. And so once the gladiator battles are done for the day, we later learn that Steel is trying to get her hands into blacksmithing, because seeing that none of them have any decent armor to wear during the fights, Natasha's trying to build something of quality, which can help everyone feel less pain. Later that evening, we pick up with an injured Superman who is caged in a holding cell. In neighboring soups, we have Krillix Ux, a member of the Phaelosian race. And it's here where Krillix drops some truth bombs for Superman, telling him that he has forgotten what it's like to be immortal, and that he's forgotten about what it's like to not have power. As shown in the arena, regardless if he's using a weapon or not, the fact of the matter is that Warworld doesn't view him more noble because he isn't using a weapon. They view him as an idiot. Plus, with the progression of the red sun radiation, if Superman doesn't adopt quickly and if he doesn't learn how to fight like a mortal, his sense of nobility will be his demise. And while they have this conversation, Krillix is basically letting Superman know that it doesn't matter where they came from, because here on Warworld, where you came from no longer matters. Because once upon a time, Krillix had everything. He had a planet that was flourishing, he had a wife and 3 daughters along with a son, but all of that was taken away within an instant once Warworld made their attack. Thus, their people were enslaved, and with his entire family being murdered and having nothing more than the ashes left over, the chains that he wears now are the only legacy that he feels that he has left. Eventually, we see a blood priest arriving at the holding cells, and he's telling everyone that they are going to be called away to the Old Crow. And while the prisoners are being taken away, we witness Superman, through internal monologuing, is starting to learn more about the planet, specifically the rituals and the traditions that Warworld enacts. Basically, he is taking everything in. The architecture, the wall drawings, the messed up looking monsters, and the various languages that are shown embedded. And whilst remembering back to the stories of Martian Manhunter telling him about Warworld, the truth that Superman learns about this place is that the planet's technology is stacked upon technology on top of technology, and that this has been happening for millennia, built over different species from all walks of the universe. Essentially, this planet is a giant Frankenstein, and underneath its surface, there is life that is struggling to live. And from Mongul to Mongul to Mongul, a never-ending cycle occurs, which involves them finding a planet and taking its resources, murdering its people, and enslaving whatever is left over. Then, after a couple generations, that said species or race ends up dead and extinct. And that is what Superman and the other slaves are being forced to watch. The Old Crow, the last survivor of a race conquered by Mongul, die. And from there, Mongul's blood priests give a sermon after the Old Crow's death, as they begin to read off some ancient carvings. Now, the blood priests are trying to act like they know how to read this stuff, but to Superman, it is very obvious that they are reading it in the wrong direction, because Superman realizes that they are scanning the carvings from top to bottom, which apparently is incorrect, and he recognizes this to be the case because the Genesis fragment that was on Earth during the Warworld Rising story arc, where during that story the fragment did something to Superman, it sort of opened up his mind, similar to how Elijah Wood could read Transformer language in Transformers 2, which I know is a terrible movie, I am fully aware of that, but it is the best way to compare to what is happening to Superman. Okay, maybe I could have used Eagle Vision from Assassin's Creed, but I digress. So yeah, given the fact that the Blood Priest cannot read the ancient writings, Superman deduces that he may learn something useful if he can properly decipher them. Afterwards, once everyone is being escorted back to their cells, this is where Superman runs into Steel, who has forged a little bit of armor for him to wear, a chest plate with the House of L's symbol on it, letting him know that if you're going to continue taking punches, then you're going to need something that will help. Now, with Superman recognizing that, he needs to learn more about the planet, he tells Krillix that, he would like some training in order to teach him how to fight like a war zone. For Superman needs to learn on how to fight like a mortal. Now, outside, we have Midnighter forming a small resistance group, and they've made it their new objective to rescue Apollo, thus leading the group to his location where he's being imprisoned. Midnighter lets everyone know that if they want to get off this planet, and if they want to get free of Mongul and Warworld, they will need to free Apollo, for he's their ticket home. Thus, Midnighter vows to save his life. And that, folks, was the end of Action Comics, issue 1039. And thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly means the world to me. And as always, I'm your majestic sayer of words, SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for issue 1040? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace.